Okay, so story time with Miss Sophie. The big reveal of my favorite Dr. Seuss book. I actually have two, but I'm going to read you one of them. Here is a little bit of a hint of what it is. That music is from the musical Seussical, which my daughter was in when she was in high school. And I love all the music. It's a really fun play, which is done to music. It's also been made into a movie, and I love the music. So you guessed it, Horton hears a who, because a person's a person, no matter how small. On the 15th of May, in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day, in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person were calling for help. I'll help you, said Horton. Who are you? Where? He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air. I say, murmured Horton, I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that was able to yell. So I know, you know what I think? I think that there must be someone on top of that small speck of dust. For some sort of creature, very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that he'll be blown in the pool, that has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him because after all, a person's a person, no matter how small. So gently and using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air, and he lifted the dust speck and carried it over and placed it down safe on a very soft clover. Humph, humphed a voice. 'Twas a sour kangaroo, and the young kangaroo in her pouch said, humph, too. Why, that speck is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that? Why, there never has been. Believe me, said Horton, I tell you sincerely, my ears are quite keen, and I heard him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quite likely there's two, even 3 or 4, quite likely. A family, for all we know, a family with children and just starting to grow. So please, Horton, as a favor to me, try not to disturb them. Just please let them be. I think you're a fool, laughed the sour kangaroo. And her young kangaroo in her pouch said, Me too. You're the biggest blame fool in the jungle of Newell. and the kangaroos plunged into the cool of the pool. That terrible splashing, the elephant frowned. I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I've got to protect him. I'm bigger than they. So he plucked up the clover and hustled away. Through the jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. He talks to a dust speck. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk on that speck, walk with that speck on that flower. And Horton walked, worrying, almost an hour. Should I put the speck down? Horton thought with alarm. If I do, these small persons may come to get to great harm. I can't put it down, and I won't. After all, a person's a person, no matter how small. Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The speck was so faint he could barely hear it. Speak up, please, said Horton. He put his ear near it. My friend, came the voice, you're a very, very fine friend. You've helped us folks on this dust speck no end. You've saved our houses, our ceilings and floors. You've saved all our churches and grocery stores. You mean, Horton gasped, you have buildings there too? Oh, yes, piped the voice. We most certainly do. I know, called the voice. I'm too small to be seen, but the mayor of a town that is friendly and clean. Our buildings to you would seem terribly small, but to us, they aren't big. They're wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, and I am a Who. And we are Whos. We Whos are thankful and grateful to you. And Horton called back to the mayor of the town. You're safe now. Don't worry. I won't let you down. But just as he spoke, the mayor of the speck, 3 little jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The Wickersham brothers came shouting, What rot! This elephant's talking to Whos who are not. There aren't any Whos, and they don't have a mayor. And we're going to stop this nonsense. So there. They snatched Horton's clover, and they carried it off to Black Bottom Edge called Vladerkoff. A mighty strong eagle, a very swift wing, and said, Will you kindly get rid of this thing? And before the poor elephant could even speak, the eagle flew off with the flower in his beak. And that late afternoon, far into the night, the black-bottomed bird flapped his wings in fast flight, while Horton chased after with groans after stones, and tattered his toenails and battered his bones. He begged, Please don't harm my little folks who have as much right to live as us bigger folks do. But far, far beyond him, the eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder he called back, Quit your yapping. I'll fly the night through. I'm a bird. I don't mind it. And I'll hide this tomorrow where you'll never find it. And at 6:56 in the morning, he did it. It sure was a terrible place that he hid it. He let that small clover drop somewhere inside of a great patch of clovers 100 miles wide. With that, sneered the bird, but I think you'll fail. And he left with a flap of his black bottom tail. I'll find it, cried Horton. I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends on my small speck of dust. And clover by clover, with care, he picked up and searched them and called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover by clover, he found that the one that he sought was just not around. And by noon, poor Horton, more dead than alive, had picked and searched and piled up 9,005. Then, through the afternoon, hour by hour, till he found them at last, on the 3,000,000th flower. "My friends," cried the elephant, do tell me, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well? From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. "We've really had trouble, much more than our share. With the black-bottomed birdie let go, we dropped. We landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chairs smashed, and our little bike tires all blew up when we crashed. So Horton, please," pleaded the voice of the mayor's, "will you stick by us, while we're making repairs?" "Of course," Horton answered. "Of course I will stick. I'll stick by small folks through thin and through thick." "Humph," humphed a voice. "For almost 2 days you've run wild and insisted on chattering with persons who've never existed. Such carryings on in our peaceable jungle. You've had quite enough of your bellowing bungle. And I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "with your silly nonsensical game is all through." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too." With the help of the Wickersham brothers and dozens of Wickersham uncles and Wickersham cousins and Wickersham in-laws, whose help I've engaged, you're going to be roped and you're going to be caged. And as for your dust speck, bah, that we shall boil in a hot steaming kettle of bezelnut oil. "Boil it?" gasped Horton. "Oh, that you can't do, for it's full of persons. I'll prove it to you." Mr. Mayor, called Horton. "Mr. Mayor, you've got to prove now that you're really there. So call a big meeting. Get everyone out. Make every who holler and make every who shout. Make every who scream. If you don't, every who is going to end up in bezelnut stew." And down on the dust speck, they screamed little mare. They scared little mare. The scared little mare. Quick called a big meeting in Whoville Town Square. And his people cried out. They cried out in fear. We are here. We are here. We are here. We are here. The elephant smiled. That was clear as a bell. You kangaroos surely heard that very well. All I heard, snapped the big kangaroo, was the breeze and the faint sound of wind through the far distant trees. I heard no small voices, and you didn't either. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, Me neither. Grab him, they shouted. Cage the big dope. Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie the knots tight so he'll never shake loose. Then dunk that dumb speck in beetle nut juice. Horton fought back with great vigor and vim, for the Wickersham gang was too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into the cage. But he managed to call to the mare, Don't give up, I believe in you. A person's a person, no matter how small. And you very small persons will not have to die if you make yourself heard. Come on now and try. So the mayor grabbed a tom-tom. He started to smack it, and all over Whoville they whooped up a racket. They rattled tin kettles. They beat on brass pans, on garbage pail tops and old cranberry cans. They blew bazookas and blasted great toots, clarinets, oompas, boompas, and flutes. Great gusts of loud racket rang high through the air. They rattled and shook in the whole sky, and the mayor called up through the howling and hoobaloo, Hey, Horton, how's this? Is our sound coming through? Horton called back, I can hear you just fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong and quite as mine. They don't hear a thing. Are you sure all your boys are doing their best? Are you sure they are all making noise? Are you sure every who in Whoville is working? Quick, look through your town. Is there anyone shirking? Through the town rushed the mayor from the east to the west, but everyone seemed to be doing his best. Everyone seemed to be yapping and yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping and bipping. But it wasn't enough. With all the ruckus and roar, he had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building. He searched floor to floor. And just as he felt he was getting nowhere, and almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through the door, and that mayor discovered one shirker, one hidden away in Fairfax Apartments, apartment 12J, a very small shrieker named Jojo was just standing and bouncing a yo-yo, not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp. And the mayor rushed inside and he grabbed this young twerp and he climbed with the lad up the Elfenberg Tower. This, cried the mayor, this is your town's darkest hour. It is time for the all who's to blow that is red. Come to the aid of their country, he said. We've got to make noise in greater amounts. So open your mouth, lad, for every voice counts. Just as he spoke, as he climbed, when they got to the top, the little lad cleared his voice and he shouted out, "Yop." And that yop, that one small extra yop, put it over. Finally, at last, from the speck on the clover, their voices were heard. They rang out and clear and clean, and the elephants smiled. Do you see what I mean? They've proven they are persons, no matter how small. And their whole world was saved by the smallest of all. How true! Yes, how true, said the big kangaroo. And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do? From now on, I'm going to protect them with you. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, me too. From sun in the summer, from rain in the fallish, I'm going to protect you, no matter how smallish. Hang on. I can't rewind that the way I wanted to. Well, a person's a person, no matter how small.